Harambee! Eneo hili si hivyo. Mambo ni matatu.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome back to our channel once again. And it is my hope and prayer that the video is going to find you guys in good health. Personally, I am fine, as you can see. Kisumu is fantastic, and maybe you could also let me know where you're watching the video from, the county or the country, in case you are out of the republic. Ladies and gentlemen, something is clearly happening in ODM party. And just like I said yesterday, it's going to explode very soon. And I'm not so sure whether the ODM party is ready for that explosion. Because yesterday, I listened to the speech by Edwin Sifuna. And that speech will explode. I also listened to the speech by Winnie Odinga, which I actually analyzed on this platform. And Winnie Odinga shocked the entire country when she alleged that some individuals are meeting at night to sell ODM party to William Ruto. And she actually made references to pillow talks. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know what the pillow talks mean? It's actually very, very deep for those who understand politics. And that reference was actually a direct attack to some senior ODM leader, for those who know. And I also listened to the speech by James Orengo, which is going to form the basis of this analysis. And I just want to ask a simple question. Will Uhuru Odinga be able to manage this explosion? Because yesterday, the rebels, in quotes, were able to control the microphone. Today, the president is expected in Mombasa. Will pro-government leaders take control of the microphone? And what will they say? I'm going to wait to see how that's going to pan out. But in this video, I want us to analyze the speech by James Orengo. First of all, what do you think is James Orengo's stand as far as broad-based government is concerned? Can James Orengo lead a rebellion against the pro-broad-based government successfully within ODM party? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to analyze the speech by James Orengo. First of all, let us listen to James Orengo, where he alleged that it is Ruto who needs ODM and not the other way around.
Ruto needs ODM. It's not ODM that needs Ruto. Sijui mnanisikia? There are people in the party. They are behaving as if ODM is the one that needs Ruto. Is Ruto that needs ODM?
Let us call a spade a spade. The truth of the matter, and James Orengo is right on that it is actually William Ruto who needs ODM party more than ODM party needs William Ruto. Why? ODM has the numbers. That's very important in politics. Number two, ODM party is not, based on my own assessment, going to produce a presidential candidate. Although something tells me that some people are pushing Edwin Sifuna to run for the presidency. But as at now, nobody within ODM party is going to run for the presidency. And because ODM will not be running for the presidency, their supporters are expected to vote for a president. So it is Ruto who is now trying to reach out to them. And that's why I agree with Orengo that indeed it is Ruto who needs ODM more than ODM needs William Ruto. And then James Orengo goes ahead and talks about that unfortunate incident when Raila Odinga was almost shot.
when Raila Odinga was about to be killed, that gun, the police who was holding the gun during the demonstrations, hiyo bunduki, nani alikuwa komanda hiyo bunduki? Nani alikuwa komanda hiyo bunduki?
I want to ask you this question. Why do you think James Orengo was reviving that particular incident? Because the truth is, on that day, Raila was going to be eliminated. Some of my friends who were in that particular vehicle, up to now, they tell me very funny stories of what happened. So why do you think Orengo revived that particular incident? The truth is, he wanted to achieve an objective. Orengo wanted to charge the crowd. And that's why, if you listened very closely and keenly, the audience were calling William Ruto Kasongo. We are talking of ODM supporters attending ODM events, calling William Ruto Kasongo. Listen keenly.
Hiyo bunduki, nani alikuwa komanda hiyo bunduki? Nani alikuwa komanda hiyo bunduki?
So he actually achieved what he wanted. And then Orengo goes further now to revive the talks of rigging. And strategically, he brings the name of Edwin Sifuna.
Na kule tulienda kotini kama mawakili tukisema ya kwamba kura za Raila ziliibwa. Ni Sifuna aliiba hizo kura ama ni nani?
You get that? Why do you think he's also doing that? He's doing that to prove a point. That they won the election. That their being in government is not an act of desperation. That indeed they deserved to be in government. And then Orengo is now making reference of Ujinga. You know, that's very sensitive. Listen in.
Kwa sababu watu walijitokeza kama Gen Zs na wengine, and from prison he became the president. What do you want to tell me? Me, I would never support a position from a party which Raila has been built. Tunaanza kubembeleza. Tunaanza kubembeleza. There is no way how ODM can bembeleza Ruto. I can tell you. Hiyo ni ujinga ukubwa sana.
And finally, Orengo is concluding his statement by making it very, very clear that he is ready to go back to the streets and that nobody should actually sell fear to him.
Everywhere. We must fight everywhere. Na mimi kama kuna watu wanauoga, kama mnauoga, msiuze uoga kwetu. We are prepared to go back to the streets. Me as James Orengo, I am prepared to go back to the streets.
Now, when it comes to matters of streets, personally, I cannot argue with James Orengo because that's his forte. But I doubt, having read or gone through the comments, especially from ODM strongholds, most of ODM supporters are not willing to go back to the streets. On that, Orengo will likely to go alone because there's a very strong feeling within ODM support bases that they've gone to the streets well enough and that Raila Odinga went to the streets and the people who benefited from the streets never appreciated Raila Odinga. So Orengo will definitely go to the streets. But for me, I think it was a wrong idea for James Orengo to run as the governor for Siaya. Because as a governor, he's supposed to be the chief executive officer running Siaya County. He should be more concerned with the issues affecting Siaya. But he's not. He wants to come to Nairobi to lead demonstrations, which for me is something which I find to be a bit off. Because, for example, James Orengo's deputy, as we speak, where is he? Udugol. Where is Udugol as we speak? So I think personally, Orengo is missing the streets because that's where his politics began and should actually end. And therefore, Orengo should find a way of going back to Senate so that he can lead the protest. Ladies and gentlemen, my conclusion are as follows. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be following the events in Mombasa today because the president is expected today. And I'll be following the following. Number one, will James Orengo join Ruto at ODM at 20 celebrations in Mombasa? What will be their body language? Or was James Orengo just addressing supporters just like Sifuna is used to? You see, Sifuna is the Secretary General of ODM party. He speaks for the party. And the position of the party is normally relayed after the Central Management Committee meetings. During Central Management Committee meetings, Sifuna has never had his way. But coming out always, he's the one reading the statements, the resolutions, like affirming their commitments to broad-based government up to 2027. But when he leaves the Central Management Committee, when he now finds people, he speaks a different language. I expect, for example, Sifuna to talk about broad-based government negatively at the Central Management Committee and even refuse to read the resolutions. So I'll be waiting to see how Orengo will be relating with William Ruto today. Number two, what will be the tone of James Orengo's speech in the presence of the president? Will his speech be toned down a bit, or will it still be the way it was yesterday? Because those would be now totally different. Those will be now totally different audiences. And which faction of the party will Orengo join? I'm waiting to see how all these things are going to pan out. But for me, the future of ODM party is very bleak unless Uhuru Odinga will move forward and take charge of the party. Until next time, this is Makwiny. Bye-bye.